Hi, Arcfield Meteorologist. Paul Dorian here on Wednesday afternoon, October the 22nd. Wanted to give an update on Tropical Storm Melissa. It has indeed slowed down to a crawl, now moving only 2 miles per hour to the west-northwest over the central Caribbean. The waters are still very warm, above normal for this time of the year, and in the mid to upper 80s in the central and western part of the Caribbean, fully supportive of a tropical storm, fully capable of supporting a hurricane, even a major hurricane. And the fact that this system has slowed down to a crawl raises the chance that it can intensify not only to minimal hurricane status, but into major hurricane status of Category 3 or higher, let's say by later this weekend or the early part of next week. The longer it sits around over the Caribbean, the better the chances for attaining that major hurricane status, and really the more troublesome it becomes for the eastern part of the U.S. We've talked about the energetic pattern that is setting up for the middle, the latter part of next week, really going all the way into the first week of November, and multiple players on the field, from a powerful jet streak over the Pacific Ocean to intense blocking that will form in the atmosphere over Canada to this tropical system. Melissa, again, has a decent chance of becoming a major hurricane. Here's the latest satellite imagery loop, and you kind of tell it's moving nowhere right now. It's, again, last official observation by the National Hurricane Center at 11 a.m. had it move into the west-northwest at only 2 miles per hour. It had been moving at a pretty good clip when it was east of the Windward Islands. It was moving basically east to west at about 14 miles per hour or so. Last 12 hours or so, it has slowed down considerably as it's encountering an area with very weak winds in the lower and middle part of the atmosphere. This is the island of Jamaica. This is Hispaniola, with Dominican Republic over on the right side or the eastern side, Haiti on the west. This is Cuba and Puerto Rico over here. Looks like this will drift slowly to the west-northwest, maybe to a position pretty close to Jamaica by the latter part of the upcoming weekend. Certainly, over the next few days, hurricane conditions are possible over Jamaica and over Haiti, the western half of the island of Hispaniola. And ultimately, it could cross over, potentially as a strong hurricane, cross over the eastern part of Cuba and then move out into the open waters of the southwestern Atlantic Ocean. And at that point, we'll have to watch it. It could have an impact on the eastern U.S., even if it stays out over the open waters of the western Atlantic Ocean. There can be some tropical moisture kind of getting absorbed in by a deepening upper level trough that will be over the eastern U.S. by the middle or latter part of next week. So this is the very latest look at Tropical Storm Melissa. Latest observation had maximum sustained winds about 50 miles per hour. Very, very steady in terms of the winds over the last 24 hours or so. It has been 50 miles per hour for the last, I would say, 12 to 24 hours. But the big change has been the slowdown in its movement, and it certainly has a chance of becoming a hurricane, and I would say pretty good chance, in my opinion, of becoming a major hurricane later on down the road. Now, just recently I put a posting out there at arcfieldweather.com. Some of the plots we'll go over right now, some of the maps here. These are the temperature anomalies of the water over the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf, and the actual temperatures right here on the right here. All the orange here over the Gulf and the Caribbean Sea, above normal water temperatures for this time of the year. And we're talking about the mid to upper 80s, and the actual magnitudes here shown in Celsius are, again, 85, 86, 87 degrees. Certainly supportive of a hurricane, and should be capable of supporting a major hurricane as well. So very warm waters in the Caribbean Sea, and again, this is such a slow mover. It will spend several days, it looks like, over these very warm waters. Now, it's not just the favorable water conditions that are of interest here. This is a forecast map by last night's ensemble run of the European model for next Tuesday. We're talking all the way out to next Tuesday. And this is the circulation center, again, several days away, southwest of Jamaica right here, south of Cuba. And the main point I wanted to show with this particular forecast map is this is showing the wind shear in the atmospheric layer from 850 millibars, which is about a few thousand feet above the surface level, to 200 millibars right here, 850 to 200 millibar wind shear centered around the middle part of the atmosphere. And the point is very weak wind shear. You look on the scale down here, we're down on the low end here, very weak wind shear. That is a favorable environmental condition for intensification. And so it's not only the warm water temperatures, the environmental conditions will also improve the possibility of intensification into a minimal hurricane and potentially even by this time, let's say late weekend, early next week, into a major hurricane over the likely at that time over the northwestern Caribbean Sea. Now, we've kind of talked at length here about the potential of a very active, very energetic weather pattern later next week, going into the weekend, following that, even all the way into that first full work week of November. And one of the reasons why is a very strong blocking pattern that will set up over Canada, and you combine that with a powerful jet stream that moves in off the Pacific Ocean into the Pacific Northwest, and then that jet stream dives to the south, and you have some explosive possibilities for the middle and latter part of next week out across the central and eastern states. Let's take a look at last night's European model run at the 500 millibar height anomaly pattern here. This is a North America view. We're starting off with Sunday. So this goes all the way out to Sunday at the beginning point here. Just wanted to show a couple of big important features here. First of all, we've talked about the blocking here. That's shown on these particular anomaly maps as red and orange, and in intense cases, in extreme cases, purple here. That's almost off the charts here relative to normal, what you can expect for 500 millibar heights this time of the year. This is centered right over the Hudson Bay region of Canada by the early part of next week. Now, notice over the continental U.S. here, we have kind of a large area of blue here. That's below normal heights. And by the way, this is the reflection at 500 millibars by next Tuesday of what will be at that time Hurricane Melissa. So tremendous blocking here. And then we start to see this intensification of an upper level low down across the southeastern states by Thursday of next week. This is a week from tomorrow. Now, initially we had this Pacific Ocean jet streak, and that dives to the south, and that's what's wrapping around here, starting to help to intensify this trough. So when you have a pattern like this with 1, 2, 3 separate lows, that's a complicated pattern for a computer forecast model to handle here. And with this deepening trough here over the eastern U.S., you can get some influence from this tropical system, even if it's a couple hundred miles off the coast here. We'll go out a little bit farther in time, and it tends to try to get absorbed in. And again, some of that tropical moisture can feed into this deep upper level trough over the eastern states by the end of next week. We're talking next Thursday, next Friday time frame. Still have that very strong blocking off to the north. A combination of this very strong blocking and this deep upper level trough over the coast. Combine that with a likely hurricane, and it's a very interesting pattern, a very explosive pattern for later next week into the following week. Again, you may get by without all that much happening, but the potential is there for some mischief across the eastern states here. Go out a little bit farther in time into Halloween Day, and here we go. We have the upper level trough over the eastern seaboard, kind of trying to absorb what remains at this time of Melissa. Again, likely to become a hurricane, and even the chance of a major hurricane. This is all the way out now to next Friday, October 31st. Now, I wanted to wrap up with just a few sample forecast maps from the very latest Canadian model run. This is certainly a little bit different than some of the other models here, but the very latest, the 12Z Canadian model run. This is a surface forecast map for next Wednesday. We're looking at next Wednesday right here. And this low up in this particular region is kind of associated with that upper level trough starting to intensify along the Atlantic seaboard here with a strong high, not only in the upper part of the atmosphere, but down at the lower part of the atmosphere as well by this particular time. We're looking at 1 week ahead of today. This is the middle of next week. And here is the reflection of that hurricane by the Canadian model run, the very latest Canadian model run here for next Wednesday. Then we'll go out 24 hours later. This is next Thursday. Again, using the 12Z Canadian model. This is the hurricane at that particular time on this particular model run with a surface low off to the north and west here. Again, that is associated with that deep upper level trough. And kind of see there certainly can be some tropical moisture getting absorbed in or getting fed in to that upper level trough here. We'll go out one more frame here 24 hours later all the way out to Halloween Day. Boy, this would be an interesting Halloween Day if it came to fruition here for the mid-Atlantic Northeast U.S. Basically, that upper level trough pulls in that hurricane to very close to the mid-Atlantic coastline. This is a speculation phase here, stage here. We're talking a week from Friday all the way up to the end of next week. But I just wanted to point out that there is a lot of potential with this particular pattern, and we'll have to continue to monitor closely and monitor exactly what happens with that tropical storm down over the Caribbean. Again, likely becomes a hurricane and has an outside chance of becoming a major hurricane. Certainly can still have an impact. Even if it stays off the eastern seaboard, it can still have an impact, play a role middle, latter part of next week in what looks like quite an explosive weather pattern. So that's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this is your meteorologist, Dorian.